All right, guys, promised you another very special guest. And as we've been talking before we came on the air, one of my musical buddies, we've been talking for, I think, about 4 years now, maybe 4 years, right? 2020, 2019, maybe.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe 2020 was 4 years ago.
I
That
know.
scares me that you just said that.
Mira, tell us how the music has progressed over the last couple of years, and how much a change, maybe a little a Nashville influence has done to your California country, if you will.
Well, good question, big question, because, the last 4 years, given the pandemic and sort of like life shift, has been hard. And I think that's reflected in my latest project. It's just a little bit darker, a little bit more mature, I would say. I've definitely changed as a person. The last 4 years have changed me, and in some ways for the better, and in some ways for, just the more life experience, if you will. So, yeah, that's definitely showing up in my music, and I've been able to put out some stuff that I feel represents me really well, who I am as a person, and what I can now sort of tolerate as a threshold, right? Haven't killed anybody yet, but we thought about it a couple times.
She said, "But we've been close. We've been close."
A little scabby, yeah, no.
Now tell us about the new album, the new EP. Before, tell us the process going into it, and picking the songs to match so well, if you will.
Well, I became a parent in the last 4 years, right? So that I had a lot of pressure. I felt that maybe I put on myself to write a song for my son. And I was pregnant, and I was like, I haven't even met him yet. I don't know who he is. And I don't, and I was nervous. Like, there's always that thing in the back of your head, like, is this actually going to work out? And so I waited for him to get here, and then I'm in the throes of like new parenthood, and I got to have a writing appointment with Greg Barnhill, who's just out of this world, phenomenal writer. And I told him I want to write a song for my son, and he and I had a very emotional few hours together because he's also a father, and so we wrote that song. That was a really good time. And just a couple of the songs are a little bit more about like life is hard, and it's beautiful, and it's all of those things. Every like the spectrum between like really difficult and really challenging, and like really an opportunity for growth, and then like the beauty within all of that. And so I don't know. Some of it's true, and some of it's sort of like an extension of the truth, if you will, and I'm just really proud of it.
And Mira, have you found this is something I've battled with over the last couple of years? We've talked about going through the good, going through the bad, but looking back is seeing the bright spots even in the dark spots, and how hard is that to pull those out, especially in the moment, if you will.
Hindsight is 2020. Right? And like it's funny that hindsight is like also the year of the pandemic. Like those are the same numbers. I don't think that's a coincidence. You know, definitely like it's like part of the fabric of who you are, like what you've been through, and it's not necessarily like a bad thing that like we've, we go through these hard times. Like that's not fun, certainly. And like some of the stuff that I've been through, I wouldn't wish on anybody. But I also know that like this makes me a more empathetic person to somebody that I run into who's going through it, and being able to really like listen and really understand other people. And I like people. I genuinely do. I like talking to people. I'm very extroverted. I could walk outside and accidentally have a 2-hour conversation with somebody because that's how much I like
Yeah.
people. And so, you know, given the gift of experience is not always a gift that you want in the moment, but afterwards you sort of I'm sort of grateful for the growth that's come out of that and the relationships that I have that are now stronger as a result of some of that, and the stories that I now can tell from a different perspective and relate to people in that way in what I do. So yeah, if I have to find a silver lining, I would say that's it.
Yeah. And I notice, of course, going through your list, the track list of before, I noticed my buddy Kent on there. And what's it
Oh,
like to work with
with a
Kent
legend,
I know, exactly.
with a freaking legend.
And I know
Yeah,
I know he doesn't carry that aura uh,
not at all.
purposefully, but I mean, I know it's got to be a little disheartening whenever he comes into the room going like,
The
what
air
do I gonna
smells a
bring?
little sweeter. It's like, no, he is, I mean, he's the kind of guy too that like I feel like if I called him in hey, I'm like down the street and I got a flat tire, you got a minute? I really like we don't know each other that well. We've written a few times. You know, this is the one song of ours that and we wrote this also with Philip White. There was three of us on this track. Loving You Is Killing Me. Um he Gosh, he even sent me a message like on the release day, just that was so sweet and how proud of me he was. It's just, it was funny. You know how when you get a Venmo that makes the cash register sound on your phone? So we're riding, and his phone made that Venmo sound, and Philip goes, oh, that's another royalty check for Ken over there. We're cracking up. But that's, you know, I don't know. He's just a great guy, and every time we get an opportunity to write together, I feel lucky to be in the same room, breathing the same air as him, and Philip as well. They're the dynamic duo. They're an excellent team, and I know that when I have an appointment on my calendar with those two, that I'm leaving that day with a great song.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you pull from the different songwriters? Is what are maybe some of the biggest things that you've learned from working with songwriters like Kent, like Philip, like Greg, and the many others that you've worked with?
That's a really good question. What do I pull from them? I don't know. Anything they want to give me, right? But what I hope to do as an artist in that situation is to bring them something that inspires them, right? So that together, like it's my job if I have a story that I want to tell to bring it in and say, this is the story that I'd like to tell today. Can you help me tell it in a way that is artistic, that is relatable, that is, has a really nice melody within my range, and here's what key I like to sing in, that kind of stuff. So I try to consider it more from the perspective of what can I bring to them. And often they're using tools that they have that I don't necessarily have in my own toolbox, but that's the beauty of collaboration. So maybe I'll learn a new way to say something or a new way to rhyme something, but if I can bring something that inspires my collaborators for the day, then I've done my job.
Now when I'm listening, and Finn is Finn saying hi, say hi, Finnegan. There we go. He's wrapped himself up in my headphone cords as usual.
I'm like a cat.
Now coming out of 2020, the live shows. I mean, the live shows of 2020 kind of lent themselves to kind of your sound anyway, right? The open air kind of sound is kind of what I kind of see as your shows back in 2020. But how have things changed with things opening up and the first shows when things were completely opened up? I mean, how much appreciation for live music did you see?
I have sold out almost every show I've done since then, and I don't play very often anymore, so I think that does contribute.
Mhm.
But I just remember being emotional the first time that we could do a live show and people sat further apart than normal and they were wearing masks, and I had my mask on right until I got on stage. And I'm based in California, so things were just a little bit more strict out here than other parts of the country. And I might sneeze. Sorry. Now that I've said it, it's gone
It's
away.
gone.
Um, So yeah, it was a really tough time to not be able to do. Excuse me. There it is.
There you go.
Got it out of the way. And I had a pretty significant online presence in terms of online, live streams. But then, of course, the pandemic happened and everybody was live streaming and it saturated the market. And the app that I would use to live stream went away. They didn't survive because everybody was doing the Facebook lives and so it's definitely different. I don't really know how to answer that other than like it's a gift every time I get the opportunity to sing in public to people who've paid to be there, and it's full. I have people, contacting me going, "Hey, I'm just gonna get tickets at the door tomorrow," and I'm like, "Actually, you can't. It sold out 2 weeks ago." So that's, I mean, what a wonderful problem to have.
That's right. That's right. Now, what with the new EP and what is next for Mira? What are you challenging yourself with next? That's what I ask.
Well, that's a really good question, and actually, that's gonna be a little bit different than maybe what you're expecting. So I'm definitely promoting my album. I'm really, really proud of it. And I did a very small, very humble sort of release. I didn't partner with any labels or anybody. And this is just this, like this one looks like Mira. It smells like Mira. And, um, but I also, in the process of making it, I've found some areas that I feel are limiting me in my in my skill set. So I'm going back to school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm going to Berklee School of Music. I'm doing some
Wow.
of the classes online, but I'm actually going to do in person out in Boston. And I'm going to expand in a few different areas, one of those being production. I'd really like to have control over my songs and the way that they sound from the top down.
Wow.
So that's I'm really looking forward to that. I've been getting my hands a little bit dirty, but it's fun. I finally feel the desire to learn all of that language.
That's cool. Now to be able to, and then you can have your hands from the beginning to the end.
hmm
Eh,
And that sound that you referenced in 2020 that sort of came out of that, we in the industry we kind of call that bedroom pop
Yeah.
because everybody's doing it at home and it's it sounds amazing. It doesn't matter if you're in a $10 million studio or if you're in your bedroom. If the record sounds good, then who cares where you made it? So I'm working on figuring out what kind of bells and whistles I want to know how to operate and figure out what I'm gonna make in that
That's cool.
scenario. Yeah.
That's cool. Now, what motivated that? When did that idea of where did that first start for you?
That's a good question. I went to a writer's retreat over the summer, and I feel like 75% of the people there were either Berkeley alum or professors at Berkeley, like online or on in campus, whatever. And some of the guest speakers were like the head of the songwriting department.
Mhm.
And I started talking to people, and everybody sort of had the same positive reviews of how wonderful their experience has been, either as an alum or a professor, and saying, "Oh, you could just take a couple classes and see what you think." And I thought, maybe I will. Maybe I could do that. And I always have to hire people to do demos for me, and it's fine. But then I have to, they ask me how I want it. And I go, well, like kind of like this. I like these drums, but I'm not a drummer. So just do something that sounds good. So I don't even have the vocabulary to sort of communicate what I want. But I do now. And I just sort of need to fine tune it a little bit. And it's pretty cool to be able to, I don't know, I like learn how to play guitar and I learned how to play violin and I could sing, but I don't have like the theory experience necessarily and I don't know how to edit vocals and I don't know like what kind of reverb they're using in that one song that I like, and I like the sound of it, but
I want that
being
one,
able
not the other one.
yeah, yeah. So being able to communicate even just to pick up the vocabulary so that when I do, even if I'm not the producer on the record, even if I do still hire a producer on the record, I can still have the same vocabulary to communicate what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's big. That's big.
It is big. Yeah. So, and I always want to be a better songwriter. I always want as many tools in my songwriter toolbox as possible. So we're gonna see how it goes. And I'm loving it so far.
Now, how big of a difference in song one that you wrote and where you're at now?
Like when I was a teenager?
Yeah.
That one is somewhere on YouTube. I played it in public because nobody loved me enough to tell me not to. I mean, I think it's a significant difference, but certainly like there comes a point if you're going to be a songwriter or a performer, a singer-songwriter in any capacity that you have to share. You have your first song that you share. It may not be the first song that you wrote, but you got the first song that you share, and that's totally important to demonstrate growth. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's super different. You wouldn't necessarily know that they're the same person, but it's also like it's good to show how much things have changed. Even between these two, I think there's a difference here between these two projects. So, and I'm proud of both of them, and I'm proud of that first song that I put out, in public because it's I couldn't have gotten here without going there first.
That's right. That's right. Now, what is the biggest difference that you see when you hold those two projects up next to you?
They're black and white.
Yeah, but when you look at the picture of yourself in the two, what's the biggest difference you see in yourself?
This woman's a mother. This woman has no idea what's about to happen to her. That's probably the biggest difference. I lost a parent between the two as well, and then we had a whole ass pandemic. Sorry, I said ass. But a lot's different, and life is hard, and it's beautiful, and it's everything in between, and we have seasons of change, and those changes aren't always comfortable, and that's kind of where I was in my life when I was writing all of these songs and figuring out how I wanted them to fit together in one cohesive project. And the next one might be a little bit more hopeful. Like, hey, you made it. You made it. And so I do feel like I have words of encouragement for people now who have been through or who are currently going through seasons of extreme difficulty and challenging, in growth opportunities, I guess. So it's hard, but you can get through it. You can. Not without help, but you can.
Right. Now, when you release before and you get the feedback from people feeling the same emotions, how's that feel for you getting those first reflections from listeners?
It's it helps. I think the whole point of writing music and sharing it for me is to relate to people. And so getting that sort of feedback of like, girl, that song, oh my gosh, like Next Life on my old record, for example, is about a love connection that was like a missed opportunity, right? And the feedback that I got from that was like, I couldn't believe how common of a story it was between like for people, and they would private message me, and it's not my business to share that, but I got so many private messages on that song because people just relate to it, and it's human experience. And so So yeah, the feedback on this, like this more challenging and like maybe darker stuff is validating
Mm.
and like makes me feel less alone. And so what I hope is that it in turn, like my sharing my stories or my experience or my perspective on something can make my listeners feel less alone themselves.
Yeah.
I'm just a human, just like anybody else, and we're all trying to figure it out and do the
That's
best
right.
we can.
That's right. That's right. Well, Mira, if folks want to check out the videos, I was before we came on, I was going back and nobody warned me.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else? You just got to smile. Is that much fun to play live too
Oh
and
yeah.
see
People get they sing it back to me. I like
yeah.
cut out in parts and it's great. It's great like just oh my gosh, just be who you are. Be wonderfully weird and unique and share it because it's life is too short, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, like I
The
said, I want to make sure to tell everybody where they can come up with the music, the merch, everything you got.
well, everything's pretty much on my website. If it's not there, it's linked. Look at that. When did I send those out? Was that in 2019 or 2020?
I'm guessing 2020.
Yeah, I feel like
That
it
was
was
so cool.
either at the beginning of or at the start of right before or right during the
Yeah,
pandemic.
yeah.
Um, so my website is miragoto.com, miragoto.com. I've got everything on there. I've got videos and music. I've got a tiny little store. I've got some couple of show dates, not a ton, but I love to hear from people. Like I said, I like people. So to find me on your social media platform of choice, shoot me a message and let me know what you think.
That's right. Well, Mira, it is always good to see you, my friend. It's been too long. Let's not wait so long next time. All right.
I know. I feel like I need an excuse, but I just when I have another project, we could definitely find an excuse to chat then, but let's not go that long.
There you go. Well,
Thank you for making time for me today.
yes, Mira, it is a privilege. Check out the new EP Before, and be sure to subscribe her on all the socials, YouTube as well. Mira, we'll talk to you real soon.